so where you at? Where you, so where you at?
So good afternoon. Again, we want to welcome you to Just Kicking It. We are at Jabari's Martial Arts at 43710 Shainer Road in Sterling Heights, Michigan. So I have a phenomenal guest with me here, but I want to let you know that you can always reach us at 313-629-8524. Leave me your telephone number and a brief message, and I'll reach out within 24 hours. Also, send me an email at justkickdem@gmail.com. justkickdem@gmail.com. If you'd like to be on the show, you live in Michigan, and or if you live abroad, we want to have you on the show. So today, in Just Kicking It, I got a young lady here who is phenomenal. I'm going to let her tell her story, and I'm going to introduce her to you shortly, but I want to let you know that this show is a show for everybody. It's here starting in Michigan, but we're going to take it, and you're going to see us in quite a few places down the road. So we're being blessed as we sit here today. Had a chance to do an interview with Zell Miles Dixon, who stands in his own shadow. He's out of Tennessee, and he'll be back on his way home soon, but I wanted to thank him today. But right now, let's get into the karate sauce. I want to let her introduce. I was going to introduce her, but I think she's old enough to do that herself now, right? So we'll let her introduce herself, and we'll have a good talk with her. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, so my name is Oorvi Duvvuri. I'm 19 years old, and I'm currently a student at the University of Michigan. I'm studying biophysics and econ. I'm also a black belt in karate. I have been training here under Master Jabari for the last 7 years. And under his instruction, I am now currently a 3-time world champion under WKC and US Open. And I love martial arts. It's my favorite and my biggest hobby, and won't even say hobby, a passion. But yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're here. Speaking of that, we know you're at the Big M, the big house. We got a game coming up tomorrow. University of Michigan playing in the Rose Bowl, so they're going to have to show out, or they're going to have to get out. One of the two. But speaking of that, I like to have fun, and you talked about the martial arts not being a hobby but being a passion, because martial arts is a way of life. It's nothing you can't do without it. It's the way you have to adapt. We always say that if you take a water and you pour it into a shoe, it makes the shape of that shoe. And as a martial artist, you have to be able to adapt. So speaking of adapting, I know your mom very well, and I know your dad even much better. I'm going to say that I know that they are both sticklers for education. Dad is just awesome when it comes to the mentality of understanding different things that folks only think about. Then, of course, your mom, who extraordinary when it comes to education and learning and putting together programs. How has that helped you get where you are as far as, let's go back to when you first started martial arts. How did that help you begin to understand that martial arts is all right?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to start learning martial arts with my dad. He started at the same time as me here. And we've always been really close, but I think martial arts has made us that much closer.
Nice.
Every time we're at home, every time I come back from college, we're always doing some sparring rounds just in the house, even though my mom tells us to knock it off because we're always getting hurt and falling over. But I think the way that my dad and my mom, they approach education and teaching has made me learn martial arts so much faster, with a very specific look at techniques and training and understanding how other people get to where they are. So we're always watching kata videos and sparring videos, and my dad specifically, he really breaks down the video and watches the techniques. And I think by him breaking that down, I've been able to break it down better, and he's able to teach me, and I think that's really helped me get to where I am today. Yeah,
I think you're right about that. Now, your dad's going to be on the show soon, and I'm going to be talking to him because of the mindset that your dad and mom they do have. It's been a blessing for you because they can break it down from a mechanical working perspective, meaning whatever they're into, whether it's engineering or education, they like to take things and break it down to the simplest thing, right? Which is phenomenal. A lot of young children are not fortunate to have mom and dad in the household. And both are working in a system where they are able to explore and explode. You know, when I talk to your mom a lot, I think of her and your dad as I'm watching Star Trek. They're doing things that, and this was before you were born, and me too, by the way. When Star Trek came out, they had the big screen TVs already. They had the cell phones. They had the earbuds. They had the TVs that were so huge, you have to stand back here to watch it. And that's at the movies now. But that stuff was in the 60s, early 70s. And then you get up to this point where you're 19 years old and you know how to operate all those things. So it's nothing new under the sun. And the reason I'm saying this to you is that how has this helped you to progress to get to the University of Michigan? We know about your high school, how great you did there, and you were able to transform some of those skills to go to U of M. How was that transition for you?
Yeah, so I went to the International Academy in Bloomfield Hills. It was it's called what's called an IB school. So they put a lot of pressure on, or like a lot of emphasis on making sure that you have a lot of like real life skills that you can use in higher education. So lots of essay writing, lots and lots and lots of research, and like honestly a higher level of content than most other high schools typically have. So me and my friends, I have a couple friends who also went to the same high school. We always talk about how, in some weird way, college has actually been easier than how high school was, because we were working pretty hard and to like a higher level than. So now when I look at the work, like yes, the exams are harder. What we're learning is so much harder, but the amount of work and the amount of effort and just learning how to study in a way where you really understand the concepts and you're not just memorizing has been really like helpful in terms of now that I'm at the university. And that was also something I could talk about a lot during like interviews, and when I talk to like my professors now, they're always like, oh, like, how do you already know how to do this? And I'm like, oh, well, we learned it in high school.
Wow. Learned it in high school.
Yeah.
It's almost like a dual enrollment. You know, they have the dual thing when you get your college credits while you're going to high school and you're halfway through. But let's flip the script a little bit, because you got into the martial arts. Like you said, your dad always, you guys were breaking stuff in the house. I hope not. But I know he's a stickler when it comes to being as perfect as possible. There's no perfect specimen but God, of course. But we can get close because we're in his image. So I say that to say that you've been fortunate to start martial arts at a local level. You've done some state tournaments, then you've done some national tournaments, and then you got to the world, the big one. And you always talked about, I really want to do this. And I could see, I've been able to see in your eyes years ago when you watched some of the people who were doing weapons and katas, and you never said no to whether it was fighting, weapons, or you like, oh yeah, I want to fight. By the way, she used to want to fight in tournaments and would want to train the day before. I'm like, no, you can't do that, right? But I like that, because that's the tiger that she has in her to say that, oh, that's it. Oh, I'm going to that tournament, right? But we wanted to make sure, no, not that one, right? Get a little bit more practice in, and that's okay. But that has transformed you into a champion. Now, talk to me. Do you remember your first tournament?
I do remember my first tournament.
Tell me about that.
It was a local tournament in a school. It was under the Great Lakes Circuit and NGKLC.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So it was my first tournament. I was really nervous. I was a green belt. My dad was also there. I remember that I did the very first kata. I was like, I've been always kind of pretty good at learning the katas, maybe not perfecting them, but just like memorizing the pattern of how the movement. I did dance growing up, so kind of learning choreography has never been like difficult. So Master Jabari has this rule that if you get first place with that kata, you can learn the next one. So I was in my mind, I was like, oh, I really want to win because I want to learn the next kata. So I did get first, but that was because there's like not too many other people in my division. Right. So katas was fine. I did that. I did well, I think. Obviously a lot of place to improve. But sparring, I hadn't really sparred much before because there weren't really any people to spar at our school at that point. I mean, I was like 13 or 14, so either the kids were way younger or way older, so I didn't really have anyone to fight with. And so this is my first time really like sparring someone my age. And I remember my dad had just finished sparring someone, and he he won like by far. It was crazy. The other guy had like bruised ribs and everything. I don't even know what's going on. So my mom comes up and she's like, your dad just won. You should win too.
Uh-oh.
But then there was no one else for me to fight in my division.
Right.
So I had to do an exhibition fight, which, that kind of like opened up my eyes to like, I really do like fighting and I want to do this more. But yeah, we came back with a bunch of trophies. This is my dad's first competition, my first competition. We still have, he won grand champion too. Ooh. So we still have his big trophy kind of displayed in our house.
Okay, excellent. And that's good because in martial arts, you adapt to a lot of things. And definitely, at our school, the way we teach it is like, we want you to focus on what it is you really want to do. But have a little bit of everything else, right? Mm-hmm. Because when we talk about martial arts and self-defense, when you go out in the street, you can't, we don't say, well, I don't know how to do that, but you go ahead, give me a second, let me warm up. You don't have time to warm up. Sometimes you got to be on the fly. So let's talk a little bit about, I love the dad and mom thing. I had a chance to see your mom jump up and down at a tournament, right? Mm-hmm. I should have recorded that, right? But I've seen her so excited to see you and your dad. It's like the combination thing there. How has that made her feel to watch you? Yeah. To see you? Because I know she watched you do stuff at the Worlds, right?
Yeah.
How does she feel about that?
So actually, she's the reason me and my dad are here.
Excellent.
She's the one who made us start. I was in like starting high school when I started, and she was like, "Oh, I always wanted you to learn karate." So shout out to her. That's why me and my dad are here. But she never like knew that karate would be for me for like competition and like at a higher level. It was just more for me to like learn self-defense and learn how to fight and learn like those kind of important skills.
Yes.
But when I when I said I wanted to go to Worlds, she was really supportive. So was my dad. And then, Grandmaster Green, he also is the one who like taught me my forms, my katas. Obviously, the ones that we do at an international national level, they're a little different than the ones we learn here at our school. Right. They're like some standard set ones that you have to learn. Mm. So she, every single day, I would go after school and she would watch my kata. She would watch the videos and she would be like, "You didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. You need to work on this, 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 and this."
Love it.
And she would just like, she's never done martial arts before. But she would watch that video and she would know, like, this is what you're not doing right. And she would know, like, right away. And she'd be like, "Stop, go back, do it again. Stop, go back, do it again." And I remember once we got to the competition, my first kata, I get really nervous before tournaments. Like, my palms get really sweaty and I get, like, a lot of butterflies. And, I've been working to get past that, but it's still kind of there.
Oh, yeah.
I was doing my kata. It was my first round, so nervous. And I remember looking up and I had not done well. I could tell my foot was like super slippery and I was not doing well. And I saw her, she was like, so finally I kind of got past that like nervousness by the second round. And by then I could see that she could tell, my dad could tell that I got over that nervousness and I was doing well. So they when you're in the ring, you don't really hear what else is going on outside. I'll watch the video of the kata or my sparring, and I'll hear my dad and mom, they'll be yelling, like, "Do this, go left, go right, go." And they're always like, "Oh, did you not hear us when you're?" I'm like, "No, not at all. I didn't hear you at all." But it's really nice knowing that they're like there and they're super supportive and they're always there for me, like no matter what. Yes. My dad helps a lot with sparring. He's always there coaching. Like he helps right before we go and he'll watch the competition and be like, "Okay, they're doing this, so you need to do this," or "They're not doing this, so you need to do that." And so I'm super grateful to have them and you, Master Jabari and Grandmaster Green and everyone who's taught me and helped me get to where I am today.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. And the combination of having a mom and dad in the household, and for someone to be able to watch the videos and be like, "You're not doing this, you did." Trust me, most moms don't have a black belt in martial arts, right? Mm-hmm. But they have a black belt in wisdom, so they can see stuff you can't see. And it's always funny because most of the parents, the mothers don't train as much as the men would, right? But they're the ones that are the black belts in the house. And it's all good because I love her. I love her spirit. And your dad's the same way. And I can understand why your dad does what he does because of the work that he does. He's a very detail-oriented person, and he likes things to be structured, right? And martial arts is that way. It's detailed, it's oriented, it's structured. If something is out of whack, you're going to get hit, right?
Yeah.
Try to do weapons and do this and go around in a circle and miss it. If you miss it, you bow out. You're done. So everything has to be structured, has to be standardized, and it has to be close to perfect as can get, right? And you've shown that you can do these things. And now with the University of Michigan, in regards to you still training, I know you do some training there. And when you're not there the off season, you come back here and you train. Portugal is coming up.
It is.
Portugal is coming up for Team USA. I don't know if you're thinking about going or have you thought about that. It would be great to go to Portugal.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? Or you think that's something possibly trying out for Team USA this year, possibly?
Yeah. So obviously last year I was in college, like I was just starting, it was my first year. So I didn't really have, I was putting more emphasis on my like education and studying and making sure I kept on top of like academic life. But now that I've kind of gotten that under control, I definitely want to come back.
Okay.
Me and my dad have been training while I was home for winter break.
Good.
It's been about 2 weeks now. So
Good.
I've been going to the gym, working out. I've been trying to get back into it. Also, while I'm at college, we don't have a karate team. I started a club, but we're still getting like into more members and everything. But the Taekwondo club is already like really developed. There's a lot of members. Grandmaster Green is actually like good friends with the president or like Grandmaster Chung, who started our club. So that reputation has kind of helped me like everyone kind of knows me because they know Grandmaster.
Oh, good.
And so because of that, I've been able to get a lot of practice there. I kind of automatically moved up to black belt level in their eyes. So I've been getting a lot of training. Obviously, the sport is a little different than sports karate.
For
and
sure.
What we do at WKC with no hand rules, just a lot of kicking. But that's also made my like kicks a lot stronger, I think.
Yeah,
So a lot faster, a lot of different rules. But I'm very fortunate to be able to train there with pretty high caliber athletes.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, one of the things we do at Jabari's Martial Arts, we always push our students to go out and venture in other schools and learn other things. Because you do that, you bring that back and you teach other people. In regards to your training, sustaining your grades well, taking care of things at home, at school, sometimes you volunteer and you work and you're doing all these other things. What are you looking for in the future? If you say the next 2 years outside of graduating from the University of Michigan, top of your class, of course, we wouldn't have it another way. What else are you looking forward to doing? What else would you like to see yourself do?
Yeah, so, I'm interested in pursuing the medical field. I want to be a doctor, a surgeon when I grow up. So, actually this semester I'll be doing some research at my university in cell cancer biology. So I'm super excited to start that. Wow. But, that's obviously a passion of mine, like medical and just seeing how like cells, and I'm studying biophysics, so it's like a really high interest of mine. But beyond that, I see myself pursuing martial arts at like a really high level. I love training. I love competing. It's something I look forward to. It brings me closer to my family and my dad. It's what we talk about. Whenever I come home, it's like on our minds. So, it's obviously like everyone, I tell my friends because they see me practicing in our apartment and they're like, you're crazy. Like, what are you doing? You're like going to med school. You want to, like, you're doing really hard classes. Like, how are you managing all this? And it's just like, I think that when you're really interested in something, when you really have passion for it, it doesn't matter how much time you have, you're going to make time to do it. Go. And so
I like that.
I think that's how this all has been able to happen.
She is excellent, right? She is a young person, 19 years old, University of Michigan, graduating in a couple of years. Not only that, the idea of being able to manage and juggle so many things, which martial arts prepares you for managing. It's an adaptability. If you can do martial arts, you can manage many things. So this is the key to life. Martial arts is a way of life. It's not the only way. It is the way. So when we say the way, that means anything you do in life, if you could do martial arts, you can accomplish anything. And I think that you're doing a great job. You're setting a great example, not only as a student, but as a young lady, as a female, and as someone that's had barriers. A lot of BIPOC, and I say people of color, have had a lot of barriers to them being successful. And when you're having that mom, that dad, and the support, we're hoping that you continue to hop over these barricades. Because one thing the world does not want to see is a woman in charge. And I think it's important that we open that door so that women of color can there is no rightful place, but there's a position where we can't get along without the women here, and we need them. Sometimes to set the tone, sometimes to even be an example as to how we can better do things together. So I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing at the University of Michigan, what you're doing at home, and what you're doing abroad. I want people to watch you. I want people to know that they can do this too, and they can still be beautiful. They can be a girl. They can go to school, they can work, they can volunteer, and still handle yourself on the street when it's time, right? Because daddy will never let you stop working out at home.
No.
So my name again is Olu Jabari, your host, and I'm here with the one and only Oorvi. Any last words, Oorvi, for your audience who people want to be like you? Any words for them?
Keep fighting, keep training, and stay flexible.
Flexible. I was talking to Zell Miles Dixon talking about flexibility. We're done with the flexibility, but I think you for sure, like you said, keep training, right? Stay flexible.
Yeah.
And you're training all the time. Here's the thing. When you're not training with these, make sure you train with your mind, right? So again, Olu Jabari, I'm your host at 313-629-8524. Send us an email at justkickthim@gmail.com, and I promise to contact you within 24 hours. We want you on our show. Again, Just Kicking It. Thank you very much. Have a good day.